happy Sunday. This is our final Simply Sundays Mindset edition, so thanks for being part of that. Or at least for now, we'll see if anything comes up. We have another mindset performance coach who wants to join forces, and we'll add something and we'll think about it. But either way, Faisel and I got connected through Andy, my amazing co-host, who is faceless right now, but he is on here. And Faisel and I got to meet, and he was just talking me through what he was going to share on this meetup. And really, truly, I was like, I don't think you meant to pitch me. You pitched me. Like, maybe I need you as my coach. I was very impressed just at what Faisel and I talked about. So I'm really excited for him to be here. My wife is in the next room. I think she's even more excited than I am, if I'm being honest with you, Faisel. She's like so pumped. She's got her blanket and her notebook. She's ready to go. So yeah, I will hand over the floor to Faisel.
Thank you, Christina. So great to be here. And thank you, Andy and Christina, both of you, for giving me the opportunity to support everyone here. So this, some of you might have gone through this because you might have seen me in other meetups. I know Trevor might have gone through this process. If you haven't gone through this, it'll feel a little bit different, but I know that you're going to gain a lot of value out of it. And like Christina said, I wasn't trying to pitch to her. I mean, I just know that creates a value that has helped me. The process has helped me through the process, and it has helped a lot of other people. And so I'll just walk you through it. I'm curious to hear, though. Just type in the chat what you are grateful for in your life. We'll start with that. We'll start with a positive phrase. Type in the chat what you're grateful for in your life right now. Or more important, even better frame for that, what do you actually feel grateful for right now? Just think about your life right now. Just type what you feel grateful for. Awesome. Andrew saying sun, seeing another day. Kevin, Douglas, my SO and getting healthier. Freedom, my wife, my network, this community. I'm grateful for my family and my health. That is awesome. Thank you all for sharing. And just, I think starting with that space is really, can be really powerful. I'm grateful for my family, my health, my loving husband, my new friends, God in my life, my health and family. Lots of grateful people. I love it. So we'll start this off with, I'll just share a quick story around why this session is important and how to help me, but also how to help other people too. And just like many of you, I got started not in the real estate world per se. I jumped into the coaching world about 7 years ago. And when I jumped in, I actually went cold turkey. I left my engineering career. Just a few months after I left that, we had our first daughter too. And I'm trying to figure out this whole new path forward in entrepreneurship. And I hear that there is such a thing as coaching. I don't know what it was. I couldn't explain it to anybody. But when I started, it was actually quite a bit of a struggle. I still remember I didn't want to go back to my work as an engineer. So I started driving Uber. I didn't have a lot of other resources. And I still remember the mornings when I used to wake up, especially in the winter time here in Ontario, Canada. It would be really cold. Every morning I would pick up my coffee in the car and I'd be turning on the app. And as soon as I would get started, I would get these series of crazy thoughts. So it's like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work out? What if you can't provide for your family? What if you fail at this? What if everybody else is right? And a series of thoughts with those emotions of fear, disconnect, and it just would spiral. And the only thing that would get me to move forward and just go through that day and focus on what I could create would be a vision. It was a vision of actually this right here in front of you guys, to be in front of you, to serve you, to spend time with my family and do whatever I wanted to. And to have that quality time with them, to go towards something that mattered to me, to contribute in a way that mattered to me, to live a life that was aligned with my own core, with my own soul. And to me, that vision was just a vision of service, a vision of quality time with family, a vision of growth. And that was very powerful because I could literally see this. I could really literally see connecting with people. I could see spending time with my family. I could see going to places. I could see learning and growing consistently. And despite the fact that at the time we were heavily in debt, I used to get anxiety just walking into the grocery store. I didn't know if I could even pay the rent at the end of the month. It helped me keep going. It helped me connect to that deeper why. It helped me connect to what mattered truly. And no matter what you're starting, whether it's a new thing or a transition, or you're adding on a new thing in your life, or you're approaching a new part of your life, the path is going to be challenging because you're learning a lot in the process. And a lot of people discount that part because they focus on the goal piece. Is like, okay, my goal is this thing, but then how important it is for you to get there. Because if it is important, if there is a bigger why around it, you can see it and feel that future or that vision that's dynamic and it's living now within you, then it becomes worth it to deal with almost anything. And that's what has a big part of what has allowed me to build a couple of businesses, to kind of create a life that matters to me. And of course, I have my challenges right now too. Everybody does. We're human beings. But I accept and love all of it because that was all part of the vision, the part of the vision of growth. And that's what I want to walk you through, is to really get you connected to what matters to you deep down. And we have to do a little bit of digging in that process. So I'll walk you through from a mental perspective, which means that I'll get you to think about it. I'll get you to journal about your life. What is an ideal that you're creating? And after that, I'm going to walk you through an experience around it. It will be a little bit deeper than just the mental, intellectual part. It'll get you emotionally connected to what matters to you, and it'll maybe even spiritually get you connected to what matters to you. And we're going to jump into that in a second. But who's excited about that? Anybody? All right. We got people who are excited about their life. That's good. All right, so let me share my screen. Definitely encourage you to pull out your journal. This session is not just going to be me talking and you just listening. Yes, you will be listening, but I want you to get engaged in your life, because the purpose of this session is not for me to necessarily teach, but it's more for me to walk you through your own life. And I want you to look at your life from a new lens, and I'll guide you through that. And go deeper into it and give yourself the space to really connect with it. So definitely get rid of any distractions you might have around you. This is not the kind of session where you can listen to it in the background. So pull out your journals, put away any distractions around you, that mighty distraction. Hold on, I got to put it on. I think it's, I was telling Christina and them that Sunday is an odd day because I don't work on Sundays generally. So my phone is not fully on. So put your phone on, do not disturb. And also, a lot of our distraction comes from our own mind. So let's take a couple of deep breaths and just focus on what we're doing today. Because I promise you, if you can get connected to your own life, if you can get connected to it at a deeper level, then pretty much anything that you want becomes worth it, becomes a journey, and it becomes a learning journey. And even though it might be difficult, it might be challenging, you'll be able to work through it. So let's jump in. Let me just share my screen. I'll start with a quote. Can you see this? Can somebody say thumbs up? Or yeah, yes, okay, great. So I'll start with this quote. Sight is what your eyes produce. Vision is what your heart produces. Never let what you see affect your vision. We'll start with that. And here's why I got started with, here's the reason why I'm getting started with a vision versus a goal. I think goals are incredibly important. I think we all need to have them. The difference between a vision and a goal is that a goal is very specific. It's very time bound. It has timelines that you need to go through. And I have a process around that, and I'll share that with you at the end of this, how you can connect your vision with your goal. And most people do get started with goals, but here's the challenge with goal. If you're not deeply connected to what matters to you at your core, what ends up happening, your mind picks up expectations from the environment. Is like, oh, this person is doing this thing. That looks pretty good, whether that's real estate investing or something else, or a new house, or a new car, or a new job, or a different kind of family. It just, our mind has a tendency to pick up all those things. Some we're conscious of, a lot of them we're not conscious of. And what most people, what ends up happening, they pick up a vision of their culture. So they're still operating under a vision, but it's not really their vision. And what ends up happening, they get to a point in their life, and they even go towards those goals if they're ambitious enough, and they achieve it. And they get to that point, they're like, shit, this is it. This was it. And a lot of people go through that. It's like, okay, I spent all these years working towards it. This is it, because they didn't know how this was fully aligned with them, and it might have not been. And the process of vision is to get you to connect with your why, get you to connect with yourself, get you to connect with who you're becoming in the process, not just what you're creating in your life, but who you're becoming, not just for yourself, but for your family, for your community, for the path that you're creating, for a sense of purpose. So there's a lot in there. And when you start with that, then goals become a natural consequence of that. Then you have important goals to go towards. Yes, there's definitely work towards that. But I find that starting with a vision makes your long-term process much more clear, and it makes your growth process much more clear. And instead of just talking about it, I'm going to walk you through it, and we'll discuss a little bit at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do is where you pull out your journals. We're going to get you to think about a little bit long-term. Put aside everything that's happening right now, all the challenges, all the troubles, everything else. Think like 3 to 5 years out. I like a 5-year mark because it's a lot of people really underestimate what they can do in 5 years or 3 years or 10 years. So think a little bit long term, 3 to 5 years out, and we're going to walk through 3 simple categories. We're going to go through the experiences that you're creating in your life. We're going to go through the ways that you want to grow or need to grow, and the ways that you want to contribute. And we'll go deeper into each of these. So we'll start one by one. And the first one is the experiences. And I'll give some examples around this. And remember, these examples are not meant to limit what you're creating. It's just meant to give you an insight as to what you could potentially create, and even more. So it doesn't have to be any of these, but just an example. So here's the big difference around the goal and the vision. So a goal might be is that, hey, I want that beach house by 2025, and I want it to be in this location and something like that. So, and look like this or the other. But a vision is a little bit different. It's more of an experience. It's a lot like the experience that you have right now in your environment. You can sense everything around you. You can see things. So a vision will be you standing maybe in that terrace or balcony, looking out in the ocean, towards the ocean, and you can see the waves, you can smell the ocean, you can hear the waves crashing, you can feel the breeze on your skin, and you can feel the sense of gratitude you have for creating that world. And maybe you even look around, and as you look back, you see your family there, or the people that matter to you that are in that experience. That's a vision. That's much more connected to our experience as human beings. We naturally create that as we live through life, but we can create that in our mind as well. It makes it much more real. So think about the experiences that you want for yourself, for your family, for your team, for your community, and think about what kind of life you're building. And always remember that your business needs to fit into your life. It can't be outside of that. So whatever business, whatever system you're creating for cash flow, for contribution, for resources, it needs to fit in the kind of lifestyle you're creating as well. So what kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want a lifestyle of peace? Do you want a lifestyle of adventure? And picture yourself in that world. Picture the people that you want to be around. Maybe you just want that closeness with your family, that time, that quality time. A lot of people don't need a lot to be happy. Maybe you just want that free time with your family. And I know a lot of investors think about that. Maybe you want those adventures in the natural world. You want to be connected to nature. Maybe you just want that closeness with your spouse or with your partner. Maybe you just want that peace, the deeper connection with yourself, with God, with however you picture that. Or maybe you want the toys. That's great too. Just picture that and feel what you feel in that environment. And the difference between a goal and a vision in that case will be is that you really need to sit in that Ferrari and picture yourself feeling the exhilaration, that power of that engine. And as you're pressing on that gas, you can feel the engine. You can feel the air going by you if it's a convertible, or if it's not, if the window is down. But you are living in that process. So what does that life look like for you? And maybe you just want to travel around the country, and maybe you want to be in those cruises, whatever a version of your life looks like. Or maybe it's a combination of these. It's your life. Think about it. Picture those around you that matter to you. Picture the kind of business that would support you to create that life. And I'll give you a few minutes to think through this, and I'll put on some music in the background. Really go into it, and don't worry about the how. Just think about what matters to you. And we'll go to the next step in a bit. I'll give you about 3 minutes or so for this one.
Your device is disconnected.
Awesome. Well, thank you for working through that. You're not going to have enough time. I'm actually this will be more of a challenge for you. I want to walk you through the process quickly because I want you to understand the framework around it. So I'm not going to give you enough time. It will be a little bit of an accelerated learning process. I was sharing with Christina that I'm going to give you even the next step to how you can turn this vision into a strategic goal setting process. I'll offer that at the end for you as a bonus. So, and you will have the framework for this to work through it at a deeper level. And I'll encourage you to do that. For now, I just want you to experience it to see how important, what you connect with. And I'm curious to hear, before I go to the next step, what stood out the most as you thought about your life just for a couple of minutes, just put it in the chat for me. Just what stood out the most for you as you thought about your experiences that matter to you? Awesome. We're getting some answers. How I felt, my health, Lori, Christina, feeling grateful for more time with our families and exploring the world more. David, what I need to prioritize, happiness. And you will find that that's very normal. Like a lot of the people will share some of the simplest things in life. A lot of times you might think we need a lot to be connected in our life, but and that's why a vision is more dynamic than a goal. A lot of people realize that once they become aware of that, they can actually go and spend time with their family now. Start now. Don't wait when that goal, business goal, is realized in 5 years for you to do that. Or your happiness, that's more of a choice. That's a state of mind. Freedom of choice and self-discovery. Give yourself more of that in a day. Give yourself some time to go for a walk. That's your freedom, even if you're busy with a lot of things. Or spend time with your family for 30 minutes. That's the beginning of your freedom. More travel and freedom. Like even something like travel, when I couldn't afford to travel a lot, I would go for like for half a day somewhere. I'm like, okay, I need to experience this. This is, even if I can do this, a lot of people will put it off. I love all this. Thank you all for sharing. And this also to get you to have some perspective around what people think. Like for most people, it's actually very basic things that matter to them. And they might forget that, and they might put it on hold saying that, oh, well, when I have all that stuff, I'll do that. No. We need to start now. That's the whole process of this. So let's go to the next one. This is probably the most important part of this exercise, and this is the one that most people will miss. And ultimately, when it comes to your vision right now, the person that you are, the world that you're creating, you're going to have to grow into the person that creates that. And that means that, so as an example, let's say if you want to have a lot of time with your family, like you want to go on these cruises with your family, right? Let's say you're able to make that happen and you're miserable in that cruise. What the hell is the point of that? So that means that you need to grow as a human being to be able to connect with your family as well. Let's say you're building a business and the business is creating a certain amount of revenue, let's say 10 million a year, or you're creating passive income or whatever it is. Let's say it's a business. You create that, but you're miserable with the team. You hate it. You're frustrated with the business. You don't know how to manage. That means you need to develop leadership skills. And a lot of people, when they get there, they work on that. And that's very difficult. So it means that you need to start now. And there are two aspects of that I want you to think about. When you think about that vision that you're creating, what are some of the ways that you need to grow? One part is internal, and you might even call that internal competencies, like your sense of confidence. That's something you need to work on. Your sense of happiness, your sense of peace, your ability to connect with others. Maybe you want to develop more empathy, your ability to support others. Maybe you want to be more assertive. That's part of your leadership journey. Or maybe you want to be more connected to your children. That starts now. Or with your spouse. That starts now. Those are some of the internal qualities that you can have. Or maybe the external part of it might be you need to get better in how you market yourself. Maybe you need to get better at how you run business systems. Maybe you need to get better at how you organize your home. All these are ways that you can grow internally and externally. So when you picture that world that you're creating, what are some of the ways that you need to or want to grow for you to make that happen? And also, I want you to think about the other side of it and think about the feeling that comes with that growth. So how would you feel when you have grown, when you've become more confident? What does that feel like? Connect with the feeling. How does that feel when you're a better leader, a better mom, a better husband, a better father? And notice how much of this is connected to other people. Almost everything we do, our sense of identity comes in how we connect with others. So think about that internal growth and external growth, and we'll go to the next step. It'll become clear as we move forward, because I'm going to walk you through an exercise that will help you get clear. So whatever comes up, just write that down. Give you a minute for that. All right. So like I said, you're not going to have enough time. We're going to fast forward this. That's okay. Hold on to your thought. Ultimately, I just want you to experience it enough so you can work on this a little bit further. So let's go to the next one. I want to go through this a little bit faster because of the time. So the next one is contribution. This is going to be really important for you to think about. And contribution, it doesn't matter what culture you come from, what part of the world you come from, it's part of being human. It's built into your DNA. It's been built into how we are. We're a social species. Like I said before, we even understand our own identity in relation to other people around us. We're a mom, we're a father, we're a husband, we're a daughter, we're a leader, we're a teacher, we're whoever. We understand ourselves in relation to other people a lot of times. There are deeper levels of your own deeper identities, but socially we get a sense of purpose, we get a sense of connection when we contribute in our environment, and it's a very normal thing. And the challenge is that whenever I talk to my clients, one of the first things I'm like, how do you want to contribute in that life? It's like, well, I want to be a philanthropist. Nothing wrong with being a philanthropist, but when I ask them, well, why is that important to you, they can't tell me why that's important. And usually what that tells me is that they've just heard that that's a good thing. And so what I want you to think about, why is it deeply important to you, to your life, to your narrative? How I would describe that is, for example, coaching. And when I jumped into the coaching world, the reason why I spend day in, day out talking to people, and a lot of people think that I'm talking a lot like this to people, but I actually sit there and listen a lot most of the day. And everybody's like, well, don't you get tired of talking? I'm like, I don't do a lot of talking. I do a lot of listening. And the fact that I have the patience to do it because it's deeply connected to my story, how I grew up, what happened. And part of my story is that I struggled a lot in my early 20s. I dealt with alcohol addiction, drug addiction, depression for a number of years. I never had the support that I needed around me. My friends and family, my cousins, so many people around me did not have the support that they needed. And it took me about a decade plus of research, thinking about all this stuff, trying to figure out, and then finally stumbling upon this thing called coaching. And 6 months of going through this, I was like, oh my God, why was this not there? And why did I have to suffer for 10 plus years? And then for me, it became like, you know what, there are other people that are looking for it, not because they're going through addictions and other things, but just this, it's one of the most powerful processes that can help people grow. And so it helps. It for me, it's become a sense of it's become my contribution. Every time I talk to people, and Christina was sharing, like I was pitching. I was not pitching because it's just I'm passionate about it. I like it. I connect with people. Part of the reason why my business picked up as well is because I just go and jump into conversations. I don't charge people initially because I'm so passionate about it and they want to work with me more. So the business picked up. But a lot of coaches who get started, they're so focused on the business piece of it. I don't care. I'm like, I did it for the first year. I never charged anybody for any of this. Why? Because whether you pay me or not, I would do this. So in my mind, I'm like, I better find a way to do this. Otherwise I'm going to be broke because I like doing this all the time. So it became a part of now. It doesn't have to be that you connect your passion with your business, but whatever you're doing, however you're serving, however you're showing up, it needs to be connected to your story, to what matters to you, to what you went through, because that becomes much more sustainable. That becomes much more real to you. And contribution doesn't always come up, oh, I'm going to change the world. It comes up in your day-to-day life, like how you show up with your kids, how you show up with your spouse, how you show up with your siblings, how you show up with your friends, how you show up with your team, how you show up in your community. And then maybe it can be the world as well, or maybe it can be a contribution of it, because when you begin that journey, you naturally want to do more because you sense the connection with what you're doing. You see people's growth around you as you're contributing more. So think about what are some ways that you want to contribute in your family, community, or the world based on that vision that you're creating. And start small. And then we'll take it from there. I'll give you about a minute for now. All right. I know I'm making this a little bit go a little bit fast, but I want to get you to experience it more. So I want to walk you through the exercise. This will be the last part of it at an intellectual level. So this is where a lot of people talk about what's your why, and there are quite a few people teach this and they have no idea what it is, and they just basically teach it at a very surface level. But your why is connected to that vision that you're creating. And the question I'm gonna ask you is, why is this vision important to you? And think about it, like you're jumping into the real estate world, you're essentially building a business, you're day in, day out, you're calling people. Maybe on the weekend, you're spending a lot of time doing this rather than doing something else. It's a lot of work. Why don't you just do whatever you're doing already? Isn't that easier to do? So it means something to you. You're creating something that matters to you, and that's based on that vision. So why is that vision important to you? When I shared this with people, the businesses that I built, the kind of life that I'm creating, wasn't easy to create. It's still not easy, to be honest. I'm on a path of growth. I was looking for growth, not just ease. I was looking for awareness. I was looking for connection. I was looking for purpose. I was looking for a bigger concept of life. Those things were important to me. And I always say that it's like, if I just literally handed off my life to somebody, I could see them being incredibly miserable with my life. I'm happy with it because this is what I wanted. This is what mattered to me. And that's why I had such a powerful drive that pulled me towards it. I didn't need to push myself every day. We ideally want you to create a life that pulls you, not for you to force yourself and hustle every day and force yourself to show up. I'm excited to show up. Why? Because this matters to me much deeper than what I would do something else. And just going back to my career, and that was a question that was posted, like, well, as an engineer, you've already studied, you could make a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the only thing that I'm seeking. Yes, money will help me, resources will help me, but I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for purpose. I'm looking for connection. I'm looking for fulfillment. So that mattered to me. So I'm not saying to create what I created. What I'm saying is that vision that you just created, why is it so important to you? Why not do something easier? And that will give you a clue as to your why. I'll give you about 30 seconds for that, and then we'll go into our exercise. All right. Thank you all for working through that. And by the way, don't worry if there are things that are not clear. It's supposed to actually overwhelm you a little bit because there's a lot in your vision. And you probably haven't taken the time to work through it as much as you need to be. And I've actually walked, most of my clients who've been with me for about at least a year, they've gone through this process at least 10 times. And every time they go through it, it becomes clearer. And as that picture becomes clearer, they get connected to it, then they know what matters to them, and it's a process. I'm curious to hear what stood out the most as you went through that whole exercise. Just type it in the chat for me, like as you went through the whole thing, what stood out the most for you in relation to your own vision? Just type it in the chat for me when you're ready. Okay. Christina, not having to wait until we've made it, but starting it now. Love that. Lori, being able to take the burden off of my husband and extended family. Cass, day-to-day needs more spent time on my real vision that makes me feel good. Easy to get busy with all the day-to-day tasks. Yeah. And so many of my clients that come to me, usually they come with like all these spreadsheets that they're tracking productivity, and actually I get a headache looking at them a lot of times because I'm like, it becomes like a very robotic thing to do every day. And one of the things that we've learned through a lot of high performance studies, that busy work does not translate to your life's work. We're all busy. But what are you doing that really matters? What are you doing that really moves the needle for you? And that might be very different than what you're actually doing. And part of the reason why we step back from our life and do an exercise like this is that it gets you to pause. Usually most people pause when they unfortunately go through an accident in their life, or somebody gets ill or something happens, and that gets them to rethink about their life. because now they realize, okay, this is important to me. But you can do that with an exercise like this. And thank you for those who shared. I want to walk you through this exercise that will help you connect with the vision more. This was more of an intellectual exercise, but we don't know what really matters to us unless we actually see it. So I'll encourage you all to put away your pen and paper. I'm actually going to walk you through this. I'll guide you through this process. I'll put on music in the background. It'll take a couple of minutes. A couple of things I will ask you to do. Just keep an open mind. There might be your emotions that might come into this picture, and that's okay, because we want your emotions to get engaged. Naturally, when we care about something, our emotions will get engaged one way or another, and everybody will have a different intensity around it. That's okay. That's important. And I want you to be open to it. Don't think that, well, I mean, you can think whatever you want, but remember that we're creating the what. Don't worry about the how right now. There are a lot of possibilities in here. And like I said, I'll share a process with you that you can turn this into a strategic process to actually go towards it on a week-to-week and day-to-day basis. And that's another work. But for now, the only thing that we're covering is the what and the why. And once you solidify that, the how is not that difficult. It just requires a process and consistent action. We'll work through that. I'll ask everybody to just sit with your back straight. You can put away everything else. And it might be better if you close your eyes, if you're open to that. And try and keep your back straight in case you're sleepy. You didn't sleep the night before, you might fall asleep. So hold on. Can you guys hear my voice over that? Yeah, great. Okay, I'll ask you all to close your eyes. Take 5 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. You'll be able to hear your breath going in and your chest expanding. And you'll be able to feel your chest contracting as it's going out. 5 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And after the 5 deep breaths, just normalize your breath. Keep taking conscious breaths. And notice your body a little bit more. I'll get you to notice any tension you might have in your head. Sometimes we hold tension in our jaws, we clench our jaws. Notice if that's there. Notice any tension you might have in your neck, in your shoulders, your arms. If you need to move a muscle, you can. Notice any tension you might have in your back, your chest, your core. Any tension you might have in your legs and your feet. Keep taking conscious, normal breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now, notice the energy in your body. Notice what you feel. Maybe there's peace. Maybe there's calm. Maybe there's anxiety. Maybe there's stress. Maybe there's joy. Maybe there's excitement. Maybe there's fear. Whatever it is, you're just noticing. Just feel that as you're taking conscious breaths. And sometimes we can generally feel it in a certain part of our body, in a general area, or in a specific area. So notice where you feel. Now, I want you to think back to a very challenging experience that you've gone through in your life, in the recent past or in the distant past, where it was a very tough time in your life. You were dealing with something that brought in a lot of fear, a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenge. Think about what was going on at this time in your life. Look at what you saw around you. What was happening? What was the difficulty? What was the challenge? Was it with people? Was it with your finances? Was it with yourself? Was it with the way you had arranged your life? Was it because of an accident, an illness, whatever it was? Just go back to that moment. Look around you. What was happening? Now, as you're looking around at that moment, notice what you were feeling as you were dealing with that difficult time. Maybe there was a sense of fear, sense of dread, sense of frustration, a sense of anxiety. Maybe it was a sense of everything falling apart. Keep taking those conscious breaths. Now, as you were going through that part of your life, as difficult as it was, as challenging as it was, at some point, you started focusing on what mattered, what you could control, and you let go of the rest. Maybe that happened consciously, maybe that was because you were late, or maybe happened automatically because you could only control what you could control. And you just kept taking one step, one foot in front of the other. You kept moving forward. And before you knew it, you were on the other side. Maybe you were still feeling the effects of it. You were able to deal with that. You were able to move through that part of your life. Maybe there was a sense of empowerment that you could take care of that. Maybe there was a sense of guidance. Maybe it was a confidence in yourself that built, a strength that, hey, if I can deal with this, I can deal with other things. Feel what that feels like. Notice it in your body. Now, think about how many challenging experiences you've had to go through in the course of your life for you to be where you are right now. If you were not able to deal with those things, you wouldn't be sitting here calmly listening to this and working through this. That means you have the strength, you have the resolve, you have the guidance, you have everything that you need to deal with anything that you need to build that kind that you want to build the kind of business that you want to build the kind of world that you're imagining, because you've done it multiple times. You've gone through so many challenges already. And if you were to go back in time to a younger version of yourself 5 years ago, you will know exactly what to tell the self, because you've gone through this process. Now, as you're thinking about this and feeling this, there's a figure that's starting to appear in front of you, out of the darkness, into the light. It's a future version of you. It's a more confident, more powerful, a stronger, a more joyful, a more peaceful version of you that's starting to appear right in front of you. Now, this better version of you, this future version of you, hasn't said a word. But as you look at this self, you see strength, you see joy, you see a smile on this future self of yours. You see peace, confidence. And as this future self comes close to you, gives you a big hug, probably the best hug you've ever had, puts its hand on your shoulder and tells you, let me show you what you're about to create. But you're going to have to trust me. You're going to have to trust yourself. Take a deep breath, because you're going to have to walk into that darkness. But you think to yourself, if I can't trust myself, who can I trust? As you begin to walk forward into that darkness, one foot in front of the other, that anxiety, the fear, the uncertainty comes back. But you know that you can create this. You can walk through this. You've done it before. Keep taking one step in front of the other. It's pitch black. Can't see the road ahead. Can't see the path forward. But you have the faith. You have the strength. You have the guidance. Keep moving forward. All of a sudden, this big blinding light hits your face. You almost have to close your eyes. As you begin to open your eyes, you look around. You see this beautiful day. The sun is shining. You see some white clouds in the sky. You can feel this beautiful, cool breeze on your skin. See your future self beside you. The self tells you, go on, it's your life. As you begin to walk forward, you see a body of water, you see a beautiful building, you see some people in the distance. And as you get closer, they look familiar. They're the people that you care about. They're your friends, they're your family, they're your team. Some very familiar, some not. But as you begin to walk forward, you see the joy in their face. They're playing around. They're connecting with each other. They're talking to each other. You hear the music in the background. You even smell some of the food that you love. You can taste it. As you walk forward, begin to see their faces. And your eyes meet someone's eyes that is closest to you. You look at this beautiful soul, this person that you care about so much. Your eyes meet. You feel this deeper sense of connection, much deeper than you remember. There's also a different look in this person's eyes. There's a look that says, I'm proud of you. Thank you for leading us here. As you look around, you see the same look in everybody's eyes. You feel this sense of gratitude for being able to create this world with those that matter to you. As you begin to walk forward, you enter this beautiful building and you look around. It looks like an office space. Open space, beautiful lighting. It looks like somebody put the design out of your head right there. See some pictures on the wall. The first picture is a collage. Looks like you traveling, spending time, connecting with those that matter to you. Friends, your family, those that are closest to you. As you look at this picture, feel connected with your life. You remember the moments of joy. Remember the moments of connection. You remember the little moments that matter to you. You remember the challenging times that you work through. But all of it is your life. These are the people that grew with you. As you look at the next picture, this is where you're shining. This is where your achievement comes in. This is where you've worked hard to be where you are. So where you feel like you brought some contribution. You've made a difference in some way. You've created something that matters to you and matters to those that you affected on your path. If you look at that, you get this deeper sense of purpose. That you've touched lives. That you've grown. As you look at that picture, you've grown as a human being, as a leader. as somebody who cares. As you're looking at this, your future self appears in front of you again. It's both of its hands on your shoulders, looks at you dead in the eyes, tells you, thank you for the courage to begin. Without you, this would not have been possible. Your path is going to be challenging. There's going to be many hurdles, but you're much stronger than you think. You're much more powerful than you believe. You're much smarter. You're much more connected. This life is waiting for you. Your people are counting on you. Keep taking those steps, one foot in front of the other. Remember this world. It's already here. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I'll let you guys process this for a little bit, for a few seconds. And when you're ready, just put in the chat, what was the most important thing that stood out in that experience for you in relation to your own vision? Whether that was what you saw, what you felt, what you connected with. Just put that in the chat for me when you're ready. Okay. So Christina shares the sense of infinite possibility. Douglas, I am this person now. David, I was able to visualize my future business and what it would allow me to achieve for my family and my ability to be charitable to organizations in need. Lori, I helped in ways I wasn't aware of. My husband, my team. That's incredible. So I'll get you to do one other thing. And by the way, who saw their future self? If you can let me know, or let me know in the chat if you're not on video. Okay, most people did. So whether you saw your future self or felt it or connected with it, I want you to, what are 3 words that you would use to describe that future self? 3 words that you would use to describe that future version of you, that more powerful, more connected version of you, whatever that was. Write that down for yourself. And also, when you have it, just put it in the chat for me as well. 3 words that would represent that future self, that higher version of you.